Okay, today's Finance Committee meeting, September 25th. I'm Julia Olafson. In attendance, we have Mr. Gierick, Ms. Bell, Mr. Lelig, Mr. Hurley, Mr. Volker, Mr. Strobel's absent. We only have a couple of updates on the agenda today. So TIF timeline update.
Christian, would you like me to kind of review the timeline with everybody?
The timeline, and then we'll hand it over to you for the audit. Is that okay?
Okay, you got the time?
I got the timeline.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
So this is, I think, the first that Amity Township's really working through TIF, the TIF process and procedure as well. So they realize that they need to have a resolution from us before they can create the actual, referred to as a TIF district. It's a little bit of the cart and the horse because we don't want to agree to it before
there's any documentation.
Correct. So in working with Mr. Subers, we're looking to put together a resolution that's contingent upon the cooperation agreement, which is what we've been talking about as a board, the actual thing that we're going to agree. So the basic timeline is as follows. We have to create a resolution that will have that contingent language that will go through the October Committee of the Whole, and then will be voted on then during the October 23rd October voting meeting, because we don't want to skip steps. We don't want to rush it through here. We want to make sure we do this the right way. So then that resolution, pending board approval, will go to Amity. They'll use that to develop the actual TIF district itself with the cooperation agreement. That cooperation agreement will then come to us to review at the December Committee of the Whole meeting, and then will be voted on at the December voting meeting, which is December 18th. And then that would be our final step, as we understand it right now, to the TIF project.
So it would be voted on December 18th?
Mm-hmm.
So when do the new board members take place?
December.
Before December 18th.
Yep. So that is the downside. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that.
That's how I remember walking into my first meeting and Julia going, "So, Mr. Jarrett, what's your vote on the budget?" And I'm like,
It'll be like that for the new folks too. So.
And obviously, anybody coming in, we can sit down and review numbers, process, answer any questions, because that will be a big one on their first board meeting. So that's pretty much what we have on the TIF timeline. Questions? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and the board agenda tonight, we will be tabling the draft agreement, the one that will eventually be voted on in December, that we saw last meeting. We're going to be tabling that until later. I don't know if we're tabling it or withdrawing it. I don't remember.
It's tabled until the December 18th.
Okay.
so we don't have Suber's document before that.
Right. And we'll share with the rest of the board at that time, this information, so that they know what the timeline to expect is. All right. And I'm throwing it back to Mr. Lelig for the audit timeline.
So audit timeline, this week we are pulling information about 50 to 60 documents, questions, invoices, FAI payments, bank reconciliations. So we're getting all that together, and we're going to have it for them to review, and they're in the process of reviewing it this week. And
what are FAI payments?
FAI payments are basic ed subsidies. So we receive those through the state.
Okay.
So it's just reporting on all the revenues that we're getting, reviewing our expenditures, and making sure that everything looks right. And hopefully we should be completed, and they should have the audit results by the second or third week in October.
Okay. All right. Audit starting. That's all we talked about. Mr. Strobel just joined us. The only other thing we talked about is the TIF timeline. That we won't be able to vote on the TIF until December 18th, because there are steps that Amity needs to go through first. I think you knew about that, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the timelines of the update.
Yeah. Okay. And any questions for Mr. Lelig or Mr. Volker on anything finance related? Any public comment? Okay, that calls the meeting.